ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। In this session, we'll be discussing from the 39th verse of the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Atheha dhanya bhagamanta itham yad vasudeve akhila lokanathe kurvanti sarvatmakam atmabhavam nayatra bhuyah parivarta ugraha. The meaning of this verse is, only by making such inquiries in this world can one be successful and perfectly cognizant, for such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes, and guarantees 100% immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. This verse again is a sequel to the previous verse, which describes only the devotees who are rendering uninterrupted, favorable, unreserved service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. They can know about the Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead Krishna. And one who makes inquiry about Krishna in the proper method and actually is able to get proper answers for such inquiries from the right source, they are considered to be successful, and they are able to awaken their dormant devotion, and they are able to conquer the repetition of birth and death. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada particularly explains that the inquiries of the sages headed by Shaunaka are herewith praised by Suta Goswami on the merit of their transcendental nature. Right in the beginning itself, when the sages of Naimisharanya asked 6 questions from Suta Goswami, Suta Goswami first congratulated them for asking such wonderful questions. He praised the questions by Munaya sadhu prushtoham bhavadbhir loka mangalam. You have made very relevant inquiries, because such inquiries are meant for the welfare of the entire world. Yat krita Krishna samprashno. What is the specific characteristic of the inquiries the sages have made? They are all pertaining to Krishna. The sages of Naimisharanya were very eager to hear about Krishna from Suta Goswami, because Suta Goswami is the recognized devotee who has heard the Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami. So he is the recognized authority. The sages want to hear from him because he is the authority on the signs of Krishna, which is presented in the Bhagavatam. So therefore, Suta Goswami is speaking this verse, today's verse, that he is telling the inquiries by the sages are really transcendental by nature. They are not interested in making any inquiries pertaining to material subject matter. Material field also, so many inquiries everyone is making. Srila Prabhupada says that everyone is either asking some question or hearing some reply, like that. Everyone is busy with this, questions and answers. But only questions and answers pertaining to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are worthwhile. Other inquiries are actually, for a human being, they are not relevant as regards the ultimate goal of life. They are not relevant. Now, it's already concluded that the devotees of the Lord can know the Lord to a considerable extent, whereas the non-devotees can never know Him, can never understand Him, can never realize Him. So therefore, the devotees are praised here as perfectly cognizant of all spiritual knowledge. How is that? The devotees are perfectly cognizant of all spiritual knowledge. It is because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the last word in absolute truth, the highest understanding of the absolute truth. And as was explained in the 11th verse of the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto of Bhagavatam, previous chapter, 11th verse, was told, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdyate. The absolute truth is understood in three features: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Of these three, Bhagavan is complete and perfect knowledge of the absolute truth. The other two are incomplete, imperfect aspects of the absolute truth. And one who makes inquiry about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such a person, on learning about Krishna, becomes automatically knowledgeable about Brahman and Paramatma features of the Supreme Absolute Truth. So this Brahman and Paramatma are two features which are subordinate to the feature as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That knowledge of Krishna is complete is explained in the later portion of the Bhagavatam, because knowledge of Bhagavan includes knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. Now, the personality of Godhead, He has got His own individual personality, and He has so many energies. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. And He has also got His expansions. So one who knows the Supreme Lord, Krishna, can also know about His multipotencies and His expansions. And in this way, completely be conversant with the science of absolute truth. Now, a pure devotee, a complete devotee, a perfect devotee, is immune to the material miseries, particularly the material misery of repetition of birth and death. A pure devotee doesn't have to undergo a repetition of birth and death. So these are some of the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The inquiries are glorious, and Suta Goswami very patiently explaining to the sages of Naimisharanya the confidential aspect of the personal feature of the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, in the material world, people are so much ignorant about the personality of Godhead. They know something about Brahman or impersonal Brahma Jyoti, something they may know, but they don't know about the personality of Godhead, the transcendental personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna.